Welcome everybody to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I am your host Alex from TechnoBlock, and today we're joined by Tony Zambito from Zamco Group from Montreal. They built the Showcase project this year, the project that, for those of you who are here in attendance live, got to see today. It was a pretty unique project with its own fair share of challenges. We did break that down earlier this winter on the show, so if you are listening to this episode and you would like to hear about that, you can check that out on the previous episodes from this past December. Today, we're going to talk about hiring and the challenges of hiring in an industry that is not necessarily one that attracts the most people, to put it lightly. So Tony, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, you're very welcome.
And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, well, actually, before we get into that question, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, just for the people who are not familiar with who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm going on my 11th year in business. I'm actually a third generation hardscaper. So although I'm young, I was lucky enough to gain a lot of experience. I started actually working in this industry at 8 years old, which sounds insane, but I had an old Sicilian grandfather who had different mentalities than what we deal with today. And, it's definitely sucked, at being young and while all your friends are on summer break enjoying. I was laying pavers and surprisingly using a quick cut, which again, OSHA laws did not exist back then. But I'm thankful for it because I'm in an industry that I love, and I always try to find new ways to keep it exciting and keep my passion going for this industry.
So Tony, the start of your company took place it was your uncle, right? When you guys started the company, or you took over from your uncle? What was the story there?
The start of the company was actually myself and my father. My father was taking care of all the excavation, and we were building the projects. It was honestly just us. I actually had my brothers that would work with us intermittently. It was a really small operation. I think we did 3 projects in our first year, grossing sales in the 5 figures in our first year of business. Definitely with its challenges, and yeah, that was it. And then after that, about a year in, my uncle, who's also in the industry, had approached us to get into business with us. Doesn't always work out with family, as I'm sure a lot of you do know, so that did not continue. That went 4 years, and then we had to part ways. And since then, I was able to completely focus on where I wanted to bring my business, and it's been a journey since.
So you broke off from the relationship with your uncle because you guys weren't seeing eye to eye on the direction of the business.
That's right, and so I bought my father out of the business because of his health conditions.
That's it. So you just went off on your own. Since then, the company has been growing by leaps and bounds, in large part because of the design that you bring to the table, the unique style that you bring. You're always trying new things, very creative with the way that you approach things.
Thank you.
But I'll call you back to a conversation that you and I were having this summer when we were planning out this project.
Which one?
We had many, but the one where we were at your showroom, and I was arguing with you that you need to hire some help because you had too much on your plate, and you had these big dreams for your company, but it wouldn't go any further than you could take it because you were doing too many of the day-to-day things. So fast forward a couple months, now we're here, and you've actually decided to hire one of your brothers on as a full-time member, and you work with your other brother, I guess kind of as a subcontractor?
Well, yeah, basically, it's 2 companies working together in harmony to provide a complete service to the client. We're not Greenscape. We don't work with Greenscape. Okay, so basically, my brother John had started selling. I brought him on sales part-time last year, and he killed it. It was. I found that although we weren't lacking any work, we were leaving a lot of work on the table, and we were losing a lot of projects because I just didn't have the time to follow up, which I'm sure a lot of owner-operators that are very involved in their business see that. I saw it. I didn't want to acknowledge it. It was my mistake. I finally did. I did not want to hire a salesman that I couldn't trust to portray my brand and my reputation. So I figured, my brother would be a good fit. He was already in the construction industry. He was a draftsman for a major developer. And he understood the construction aspect of it. Plus, he has that charm that our family has. So it worked out really well, and he like I said, his numbers were phenomenal. And then, because the numbers did so well and our business grew so much, it got to the point where now our sales are a lot more than they were, which they were already substantial. So I decided to make the move to actually ask him if he wanted to leave his career where he was and start a career with the company full time. And that's where we're at now. So this coming season, he will be full time with us. We take care of sales as usual, and also content creation, management, all the stuff that I don't find myself doing, even though I need to. I feel like it's the next step to make my business what it should be, aside from the success that we've already had.
So I have two sets of questions to ask. One is going to be on the relationship side, and the other one is going to be on the things that you decided to hand off. First, I'm going to go there with the things you decide to hand off. Running the business, and like you said, the sales, the follow-ups, some content creation for social media and for your marketing purposes. What made you decide that these are the things that you want to hand off? Because typically, if I put myself in the shoes of most of the people that I even know here, selling and the marketing of the company, like that is you. Like you're selling yourself. You are the company. So how do you make sure that you can dissociate yourself from the company and give the customer the experience and you feel comfortable with that?
We've actually put together a system that seems to work really well so far, where the client still gets that personalized service with me, because the reason I did this is so that I can stay on the job as well, just be able to have a lot of the other stuff that I have to run off to handled at the same time. So I get to be on the job present, because I find that's very important with my brand. That's kind of what the clients are paying for. They want to see me, and it's worked out very well that they don't meet me until the project necessarily starts. They might see me before when I go to pull heights and stuff like that, because I always pull heights prior to starting a project, just to kind of get an understanding of it and see any problems that we might have once we start the project. But they meet my brother John. He goes through the design process with them. They come up to an agreement. They sign the contract. Only once the contract is signed do I get my input on the design. And that's where because I get excited and I give away too many secrets, so I kind of let it be set in stone before we get in and we really work together to create our custom jobs. And then from there, the client kind of has this, he's hyped me up by that point.
Okay.
And the client has this feeling of importance that they're meeting the owner, when really it's nothing important. They have to meet me. It's
part of the process, yeah.
That's it. But they feel like they're really getting taken care of, even though it's just part of our process anyway. And it's worked out extremely well. So I am still a big part of the brand, and the whole point of this was to remain part of the brand and not disassociate myself where the company runs on its own and I'm in the background. Okay. I just want to expand the brand.
But the customer almost has to earn their way to get to the point where they start interacting with you directly, because your brother, or it could be any salesperson, in this case you decide
in my case it would be my brother.
He's the one who's meeting the clients, he's doing the preliminary design, he's doing the pre-qualification, the qualification, he's getting them to the point where they are in. Mm-hmm. And now that they're in, now you get involved. And especially that your time was spread so thin, it was the only thing that really made sense for you, because you want to be so hands-on with the final elements of the design and the build. Is that right?
It's exactly that. It's not that I'm keeping myself exclusive. It's nothing like that. It's that I really don't have a lot of time, and especially once in the winter I have more, but in the summer my days are crazy. I mean, we were building the showcase project. Those days I personally came and left at 2:00 in the morning, just doing lighting. That's how involved I am in my business. So, it's just a way for the client to get the service that they deserve, because I can't follow up as much as I'd like to, whereas my brother can. So they're getting the service, and then they're able to get my full attention once we start the project, because I'm not spending my time tailoring to the coding process or the designing process as much as I was in the past. So the client is winning because they're getting taken care of up front, and they're getting my full attention once the project starts. And that's what I wanted. I just needed to be able to focus my energy and my time, as needed, and not so spread out.
So it's what gives your company and your customer the most value in the end.
Exactly.
You're focused where only you can do that part, or you're the best at it, so that's where you're going to spend all your time. The other stuff that you're also able to do, you did it for 10 years, obviously, you can, but it's not your specialty, so that's the stuff that you've decided to hand off.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I want to go on the other side of the conversation and ask, what makes you decide hiring my family after the origin story that we just went through? Now you're saying, I'm going to hire my family, and for those of you who are here, the family is sitting right here, so I'm very curious to see what the answer is. But hiring family,
putting me on the spot, man.
what are the pros and cons that you go through in your head, and how do you make sure that you can keep the relationship where when we're working, and when we're family? Because a lot of people in this industry, they're family businesses. You're working with your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your mother. Almost everyone here, I'm sure, at some point has worked with a family member. How do you navigate that?
How is Teco successful?
Teco's also a family company.
Big family business.
There's lots of moments where it's like, okay, but we're having a business conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on your side, like,
well, it's essentially the same concept, right? Now, the issues that I had in the past with family, because for sure, family and business is tough. It was an ownership issue. Mm-hmm. It was a multi-generational issue. It was an uncle to a nephew, and in my particular situation, I started the business and brought my uncle in. But in his eyes, because he is my uncle, he is older, that, there was some kind of seniority there, but that seniority didn't exist. Neither one of us partners had paid our dues to the company. No matter your age, your experience, nobody had paid their dues to the company yet. And that was the issue. In this case now, I've learned a lot. I've grown the business. And because I'm comfortable, because it was a part-time thing and it's done so well, and I've seen genuine interest, from my brother in this case in the company, where it's freed up my time also to allow opportunities to come up where I could see not just the company growing, but if I'm doing this, I also want his career to grow as well. So I have his best interest at heart, and I genuinely feel like the company's best interest is at heart as well. So in this case, I guess it goes by case. There is no perfect formula, and you can't say that being in business with family is good or bad. It could be either. It could be both. It could be good and bad.
Yeah, but there's two things that you said in there that are true in any single business. One is, in the beginning, the issue, just like listening, the problem was there weren't clear roles and responsibilities. You brought your uncle in, he assumed the role of uncle and was trying to call shots, and that was causing conflict. It wasn't decided who's responsible for what and how are we going to work together.
Exactly.
Now, you have that because you have been running the company and you have delegated specific tasks that have specific responsibilities, and there's a process, there's a system in place. It may not be the most structured, like scientific A plus B plus C all the time, but at least people know what role they play in a bigger team.
Exactly.
If you don't have that, you get a lot of conflict.
Exactly. And another issue that I forgot to mention, it's very important when it comes to, like I said this was a multi-generational issue, is, one generation was closer to the end of their career. So their priorities were different. Mm-hmm. Their family was established. Their future was technically established, and they were trying to make sure that their pockets were full.
That's right.
Versus I was young, I just started my family. I was building something for my children, for my family, and I was willing to take the risk, knowing that I would benefit, 30 years down the line. Mm-hmm. It's not a question of who's right and wrong. It's a question of what the priorities are. And in family businesses, a lot of times, unless you are in that same kind of, point of your life, priorities change. Priorities are totally different. And that's, I find, where a lot of people start butting heads. And it's only normal.
Mm-hmm. So a united vision as well. If you're multiple partners, are we clear on that we all want the same thing?
Exactly.
And if we're not clear that we all want the same thing, let's make it clear. And if we don't want the same thing in the end, then we have a decision to make.
Exactly.
The other thing that I noticed in what you were telling as a story there is you kind of took baby steps, in the sense that you were doing it kind of part-time. You're like, okay, this is kind of working. Maybe this needs to be a little bit better. This is really good. Keep doing that. And then once you felt comfortable, you both felt comfortable, then you implemented it. This is true in anything that you want to do in business. Whether you want to try a new product, or you want to try a new technique, or you want to try a new design style, or a new design tool, or software, or anything. You want to buy a new truck, you take it for a test drive. Like it's well, maybe not in this environment right now, but normally that's what you would do. So having the ability to break it down into a smaller bite-sized chunk and see, does this work for everyone? And then take the big jump. When you can do that, is a good way to go.
Exactly. It was also a question of, there's always a learning curve as well. Mm-hmm. So by doing it little by little, you're obviously learning from mistakes, because no matter how long you've been in the industry, no matter how much experience you have, you're always going to make mistakes. We make mistakes. I make mistakes. It's normal. You learn, you move on, you progress. And I find that in this particular situation, there was a lot of things that were learned over time, where in order for in this case, my brother, to maximize his position and his potential in the position, he needed to experience certain things in the role that he already had with the company, while still having the security of a career, a full-time job. So that it just worked out very well, where I was able to teach, he was able to learn, he had security, and now with all that put together, I think that we have like a monster team to bring my vision to levels that I don't even know exist yet. Mm-hmm. And who knows? 10 years is a long time. It's been a long time.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the good things, though, when you have a strong team and you trust one another, the vision can evolve a little bit. Like, we know we're going there, but is it going to look like this, or is it going to look like that? That kind of changes over time, but if everyone is pulling in the same direction, you might be surprised with what you can accomplish.
Yep.
On the topic of hiring, like we visited the family thing, but let's just talk about hiring in general. You've managed to build a very strong team, like you just said. There's a lot of people that have been with your company for a long time. Mm-hmm. What are the things that you look for when you're hiring to make sure that you make the right decision?
It might be funny, but a lot of people say, what's your experience? I don't necessarily care about your experience, because I have my technique. I have my systems in place, and I don't necessarily want somebody that's going to come in and disregard our techniques because they've been taught a certain way. I like to think myself as a teacher primarily, and I love to teach. I love to build careers. I tell everybody, if you want a job, I could grant you a job easily, pay you by hour, and you do whatever it is that I ask you to do. But that's where it's going to end. If you are willing to give me the energy, and this is what I tell everybody, you're willing to give me the energy and you're willing to sacrifice for a career, I will provide you the best hardscape career that you could possibly get. And I think that's very important, is that we're not in an industry that is forced upon you anymore. This is an industry that people have gotten into because they want to be. These are professional businesses now. This is not, just manual labor because you have nothing else to fall back on. So I feel I'm not looking for manual laborers. I'm looking for professionals, and it's the pool gets even smaller and smaller. And I might be looking in a kiddie pool for a massive fish, but at the end of the day, I'll create that person that I want. I will take somebody and I will build them into what I want. That's what I've done with my whole crew. When I hire, I have them pulling grade within the first month. You know what I mean? I have them pulling grade as well as my guys that have been with me for 7-8 years. Because I have processes.
Okay, give me an example. So that one specifically. So yeah. I come in off the street. I've never laid a paver in my life. I don't know which end of the shovel I'm supposed to use, but I want to learn.
Yeah, if you're willing to learn, that's exactly. Are you willing to learn?
So what happens? How's it go?
I mean, you saw a little bit on the showcase. It even shows it a little bit of our bar system. Mm-hmm. Similar to the screed. It's screed rails. We just use square instead of circle. But once we show them, like, I'm not going to show them how to pull heights yet. I'm not going to bombard them. But the second the heights are pulled, and I explain, these are the ropes. I lay out my pavers. You show them that they're going to lay that. You're going to compact and all that. You're going to create your little trench.
So am I doing it or am I watching you?
At first,
I'm the new guy.
I'm watching. No. I'm making you watch somebody like the first day, but then you're not watching them all day. You're immediately interacting.
Applying what you're showing.
Okay, you saw what I did. You saw how I created the trench to insert my screed rail. Do that over there on that line.
Okay.
And that guy's continuing, but that guy's working too. And it's not that he's watching him do it now.
Yeah.
He's continuing, but he's being watched.
Okay.
Okay, hey, you know what? You're having trouble there. This is a little trick. And we just play that game until next it's, okay, now we're going to insert our screed rail. And it's a really simple system. I mean, as long as you could hold a paver and you have working eyes, you know what I mean? You set your rails, you put your paver at the beginning, at the end. I try to use 6-foot rails, and everything else, as long as you show them that you got to insert your gravel, not pack it so you raise your rail, double check your screed rails, and when they're starting, double, triple, quadruple check your screed rails. It'll take you an extra couple minutes, but they gain the confidence. And just do that for now. And then as the guy's pulling grade, just stand behind him and throw him aggregate. Because that's going to teach them, when they're pulling grade, how to manipulate that aggregate. And within a month, I'll tell them, okay, now you saw what he's been doing? Yeah, do that. Grab the bar and work on this walkway. Maybe not a driveway, but work on this walkway. And they do it. And the way I see it is, it might take them a little longer, but when they're done, they gain a ton of confidence. Mm-hmm. And this is a confidence-based job. It's hard, it's hot, it's long. It's really, there's so many factors that are beating you down in this industry that I try to keep them encouraged. I try to keep them, I tell them they're doing a good job constantly, like a great job, whatever the case is. And when they're not, there's certain ways to go about it. I just try to keep a positive atmosphere. As you saw on the project, I have a very good relationship with my crew. Nobody could turn around and say that, I'll never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself, ever. And I make it a point to grab a wheelbarrow once a day, or a shovel once a day, or do a part of the job that you'd usually have your new guy do, because I'm not any better than them. I'm not there's no hierarchy. Obviously, I have a certain role, but I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. And at the end of the day, it's a sign of respect too to my crew.
So hiring for the attitude that they have, for the willingness to learn.
All attitude.
Not what they know.
No.
And then once you're training them, the big keys that I heard, there's 4 that I heard. You're patient, because we all know it goes faster if you just do it yourself instead of watching the new guy figure out how to pull a grade.
But I'll only be able to do one job at a time.
That's it. So you have the patience to let them come along slowly. You're focused on building their confidence. It's very important. You're taking baby steps with everything, and you're encouraging them along the way, which helps build that confidence. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else when you're hiring people that you're looking for that would be useful to anybody here? They have someone to hire. Like what would be maybe an example of a red flag or a mistake that you made early hiring people that just it's not worth the pain? Don't do that.
I'm always in the hiring process. So It's not like I have a perfect formula. I'm always in the hiring process, and I have a mentality no matter, my team's never complete. My team is never complete. If somebody comes up to me, a lot of my team gets built within itself. Someone come up, hey, I have a buddy that's looking for a job, bring him. Oh, but don't you want, no, bring him. I don't know what that guy's potential is, or that girl's potential is. I don't know what they could bring to the table. I might be, by saying no, what's it going to cost me? A day of salary, 2-3 days of salary? It's worth it's worth investing than not knowing.
Well, especially if it's I don't want referral from someone within your own team.
Well, that's it. Can you? The first thing I ask them is just, do you think they could keep up with us? Yes. So then tell them to come along tomorrow. Could they start tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because I'm always afraid of losing the opportunity to have someone great. Mm-hmm. And people that I thought wouldn't last a day have still been with me. They're still with me. And I thought that they were, I saw them start working, like, this guy's gonna crash by the afternoon, and they're still there. I don't judge a book by its cover. I think everybody has the equal amount of potential. It's up to them if they're willing to put in the effort and make the sacrifice. Again, it comes down to, do they want a job or a career? And that's what I look for. Now, obviously, like I said, I'm always hiring. So for now, when I'm hiring now, I do pay attention to how close do they live to our shop.
Okay.
It's a big factor. It doesn't seem like much.
Okay.
And
tell me about that.
well, because transport is always an issue. In our industry, sometimes we get guys that don't have a car or don't have licenses or whatever the case is, a driver's license. So sometimes they're young, they're old enough to work, but they're still young. So they might not have a driver's license, and it becomes a headache. Okay, take the bus here. Now, is the bus late? There's so many factors that are out of your control. Whereas if someone lives close to our shop, okay, look, you're running late, something happened. Hey, look, the alarm didn't go off, whatever. I'll come get you. I'll come get you once, twice, then it becomes an issue. But it's, I try to keep that in mind of, in an emergency, let's say it's a rainy day, especially. Hey guys, standby. Let me tell you what standby means. It means the day's done. Honestly, like most of the time, you say standby and they're back to bed, their phone is not getting answered. When they live close, it's not a headache for them to come in at 10. Okay. When they live an hour away, which happens in traffic and all that, tell them come in at 10. Oh, I might get there at 11. I might get there at 11:15. By the time I get there, it's half done. It's not really worth it. You end up losing a lot of time in that sense. But that's it. Like I said, it's stuff like that. It's those things that are usually not on a resume that matter to me. Not the experience. What you learned at another company is helpful, but it's technically irrelevant to me because I want to teach you the way I do things because my formula works for me. Maybe that formula works for them. This is my infrastructure. This is how I wanted things done. And I've trained some amazing guys, and I'm very proud of every single member of my team. And as you saw, some of the guys that were on Showcase, it's their first year with me. And they were killing it.
No, it didn't. Everyone
it didn't seem like anybody just started.
Yeah, they all knew what they were doing. Yeah. The location thing, does that play into like starting hours and things like that? Do you like knowing that you have a crew of guys that like they have to come in from further or anything? Like, are there things that you have adapted your business basically? Let me rephrase the question. Are there things that you've done in your business or they've changed in your business to better accommodate the workforce that you have?
I have been, we have our start time, 7 a.m. on the job. Whether you're showing up on the job directly or you're showing up at 6 a.m. at the shop. It's one or the other. I've made an exception for one employee that is allowed to show up a little bit later. Like, okay, look, it's 7 a.m. You're still accounted to being there at 7 a.m. But I understand if you get there 7:30 or 7:45. 8 o'clock is not acceptable because leave earlier. I don't know what your mornings are like. And I'll be lenient, but don't push it. That's my whole mentality on everything is I'm lenient, but don't push it. Don't take advantage. I don't take advantage of you. Don't take advantage of me. I treat you well. Treat me well. Show me some respect. I'm willing to accommodate you. Just show me the respect and effort that you're going to try to do, basically to be the most productive for me. And I will continue to try to accommodate you. It's just a mutual respect at the end of the day.
Is there anything else that you would like to share in terms of advice or recommendations with regards to hiring or training or keeping people, building a team?
Morale is everything. How you treat them, for sure, that goes without saying, but how they work together is extremely important. If you start seeing people butting heads, you gotta nip that in the bud right away because that's a big red flag, and that goes from a little tick to a time bomb extremely fast. And I've seen it happen, and I said I will never let it happen again. Where I saw two employees fight on a job, and then let's just say it was their last days, but I said I noticed what I did wrong. And I didn't address the problem when it happened. And I know now that everything has to be addressed immediately because it's so easy to put out an amber. It's very hard to put out a house fire. So it really comes down to that is, at the end of the day, just be aware of what's going on in your business and and make sure that the guys and the girls, or your crew in general, are just as happy to be there as you are to have them there. And if they feel appreciated, they will deliver a heck of a lot more than you'd expect. If they feel appreciated and if they feel supported, they will deliver tenfold.
Very well said.
Every now and then a good one comes out.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that you wanted, just anything in general that you wanted to bring up about, because you've been on the show a bunch of times now, you've been involved in the showcase, you drove down from Montreal just to be here to do this.
Yep.
Is there something you want to say just before we open it up for questions for everyone here? I don't know, anything you want to say?
I mean, I don't know. I guess what it comes down to is I have a lot of young new contractors that reach out to me, and I love that. So like if you're here and you're starting your business, or you've been in your business or whatever, one thing I'll say is, not just for me but in general, never be afraid to reach out to somebody to ask for advice, because we've had this conversation where one person could only know so much. When you combine vast knowledge from different areas, different circumstance, you get to gain experience that you cannot necessarily gain in your circumstance. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to ask anybody. There's no shame in it. It doesn't make you any less of a contractor or anything of the sort. That's why Hardscaper exists. So get involved, constantly educate yourself. There's nothing you can learn that won't hurt you. And as long as you keep an open mind and keep your goals, keep a clear sight of your goals, but allow your goals to adapt as you grow, there's no way for you not to be successful. And I guess that was the thing I said too recently, was let your goals adapt. Don't be closed-minded on one small goal, because your goals when you start your business versus your goals 10, 15, 20 years in should not be the same.
You need to revisit your
Keep
goals.
growing.
Because the things you know today shape the things that you think you want tomorrow.
Of course.
But once you know something else, like that, I can do way more than that. Or I shouldn't be going there at all. I need to go over here. That's a very good point.
Some things that you don't even think are possible when you start become extremely attainable later on. So just be ready to adapt your goals, and don't, if you don't accomplish one thing, just think it's because you're trying to accomplish something bigger, not because you didn't accomplish it, because you are able to go for something bigger than what your original goal was. So I think that's very important, and for whatever it's worth.
No, I like it. Okay, so this is the point where we take questions from the audience. It doesn't have to be on hire, it can be literally anything. Between the two of us, we'll do our best to answer. It could be about the design that you saw today, because that's Tony's design. If you want to talk about Instagram, you want to talk about marketing your business, you want to talk about pricing jobs, whatever you want to talk about.
I can't teach you how to cook. Don't ask me anything of the sort. My wife will attest, but anything else, guys, I'm all ears.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just
Matt.
Run the. Oh, you got the mic. Okay. Can we get that over there? It's right over there.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
I'd like to ask guys about their crew sizes, and I know that's super great. You talked about efficiency, with that kind of keeping efficient, doing jobs. How do you manage that many personalities on the job site?
That's a challenge. Honestly, it's like I said, it's be aware of what's going on, because there are a lot of personalities. But I get asked this question a ton. How do you run 12 men on a crew efficiently? How is it not too many guys for the job? The way I see it is, you could have a 3-man crew, and it's been proven that a 3-man crew works out really well. But it depends on the scale of your projects as well. My projects are not huge. I don't have humongous projects with a ton of space.
Giant estates, but what you do is a lot of details.
Exactly. What I tailor my projects to are projects with multiple tasks. Essentially a flower box, a water feature, pool coping, driveway are all multiple tasks. So what I'm able to do is, as opposed to think of it as separate jobs, as opposed to having the front yard with 12 guys in the backyard.
Very much like the project that we built here.
Exactly.
We had those 3 zones, so we were able to split up into 3 teams if we
Exactly.
needed to.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Don't think of your crew as, a crew of 12. I think of my crew as whatever combination of that works for that project. I might have that day 4 crews of 3, 3 crews of 4. There's days where I'll have 2 guys, 2 in there, 2 there, and then I'll divide everybody appropriately for the task at hand. So I'm able to tackle multiple tasks, which just bring the project together quicker, and the crew feels more encouraged. You don't get discouraged by the sheer size of a project at that point, because you know that while you're doing this, it's not like you look up and you have all of that still to do, and you're like, oh man, this is never going to end. Yeah. You look up and hey, the bench is built. Hey, they built the staircase. They coped the stairs in the front. That's huge. I hate doing that. Like they did that. That's awesome. So you feel encouraged, and they see an end a lot quicker to the project than 3 guys showing up and getting overwhelmed. So the way I manage it is really, I look at who could work together the best, who is gonna produce the best, and where I could put them that they're not on each other's feet, but try to maintain efficiency on the skid steer. And have one guy in the skid steer, but explain to them, you're feeding them, this is the priority there, that's the priority there. So I do a lot of planning initially, and I adapt throughout the day if I see it's needed, but I split my crew on the same job.
So tell me, do you end up picking projects that are most conducive to that setup? Like if a project is just a giant driveway, well, that may not interest you, or?
No, that works out too. Look, we did an 8,500 square foot permeable job. I had 14 guys on that job.
Wow.
And there was nobody with their hands in their pockets. Why? Because of the size. I said, okay, look, and even there, I was able to say, hey, you go this way and you guys go this way. The skid steer's bouncing in between. There, we even had the shovel there for just in case we need it, whatever it was. But I was able to do the same thing. So let's say, I wouldn't say that I tailor my jobs to that. It allows me to make my jobs, to accommodate my types of jobs because of my setup. Okay. Because, whereas someone's saying, oh, if I'm going to add a water feature with a fire pit in it and all this, it's going to take my guys this much longer. It's not taking me that much longer. I have the manpower. It's either they're going to be overwhelmed on one portion, or I'm able to take 3 crew members and put them there. So I'm able to keep a crew that size while offering it to the client, not being afraid to offer it. And honestly, as long as you put it in front of them, and especially with 3D softwares nowadays, if you show them, it's sold. Mm-hmm. But I've created an infrastructure where I make sure that on every job, however it's sold initially is one thing, but the way it's sold once we show up, it's set up for my crew. Good. So I'm not, but again, we've done jobs that are simplistic, and we just bang them out because everyone at that point they sometimes they're standing over each other. Like it happens very rarely, but
you basically structure it to optimize the
yeah, because they know we show up and I tell them, guys, you understand we're a lot of guys here, so let's get it done so we can get to a job where, because they feel bored.
Play with the little things.
Yeah, they feel bored. They're like, okay, well, every time they turn around, there's someone there. Guys, let's get out of here. Do what you got to do, and then let's do it. And they hustle.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, right over there, behind you.
I like your
basically.
But my question is, we have 12 people, we probably have 3 super skilled workers, and it's called 9,
laborers.
So my question is, do you find having such a large crew helps with training and mentoring? So you start the season with a small base of experienced skilled guys that mentor, and you start firing guys, replacing them, keeping the quick learners, finding out who's got practical sense that work well in the field. And do you find that large group helps you with your training?
I actually work the other way. I start my year almost like a boot camp. I start my year with a blitz of employees. Like I try to start with 14, 15, 16 guys to end with 10 to 12. But and technically, like I said earlier, is that with my structure, I don't have necessarily just 3 skilled guys. I might have 3 skilled guys that could jump on any task and do it, but I'm able to train my crew members quick enough where I could leave them to something, always double check, but I could leave them to something and be comfortable with it getting done, even if they've been with me for 2 months or 3 months. But I'm very strategic on what I place them on, and at the end of the day, there's always some back work. There's always shoveling, there's always earth to put in, there's always gravel to spread. You could put 3 guys on spreading gravel in an area or bringing in gravel, and they could be occupied on that. So I just make sure that sometimes if I got to grant busy work, that's what I'll do, but it has to get done one way or another. So I'd rather use my energy for my skilled guys where I need them and have everything else done. So I never find that I have an issue with the amount of skilled guys on the job versus the amount of labor, like general laborers, because I find work for them. And if I see that there is an issue, I will take, at that moment, I'll grab a guy that I know has potential and I'll take him with me immediately and say, hey, come, we're gonna build that fire pit, you're gonna cut. Because if you're gonna be standing around anyway, let me take this opportunity to teach you something so next time you're not.
I guess part of his question, the answer is yes, in that like having the bigger crew, you get a lot more people to start, but like the training kind of happens a bit faster because they're able to buddy up with someone and learn particular skills a little bit faster, and you can rotate those guys throughout a couple of weeks, and before you know it, like, hey, you got a team.
I could pull someone off of a task and it's still getting done just as efficiently, and literally put them next to me and say, hey, look, we're gonna do this. Definitely, yeah, the added manpower definitely helps in that, because it's hard when you're 4, 5, 3 crew members. You don't have spare time. You don't get that opportunity, and I've learned that over time, because we used to be like 2, 3, 4 people max on a crew. When we built the last showcase, we were 4.
Yeah.
So when we built the showcase in 2018, I had 3 I had 4 crew members when showcase started, and I had 3 a weekend. So and we built that whole project, right? Because again, it was about efficiency. But then when we built this one, I still showed up with 3 crew members, and I was able to have my entire other crew building another project because I had the manpower. And yes, it does give you flexibility. If that answers your question, it gives you the flexibility to teach and to adapt along the way.
Cool. Yeah.
I noticed a couple of years ago, you started Rebranding. So I just wanted to know at what point should one step back company and how do you kind of disconnect from that and turn it into more of a role in one area versus, for instance, Greg's going to put another point. I feel like he's getting up to this point where I could really take a step back, focus on other aspects of the company that I really like to, want to ground this a little differently, where when I first company, I didn't have all the knowledge and all the resources around that I now have over the years. So how do you kind of maximize that and just rebrand, just throw yourself out there? As of right now, my company is named, let's just say, like whatever, my passions and my skill sets are such and such, but now I kind of develop different skill sets as well. In the Hardscape industry, just general
Well, it depends on how severe of a rebranding you're looking at. If you're looking at a name change, I mean, I guess it is weird in a sense to completely disassociate yourself from your original brand. But it really depends on where you feel your brand is at the moment. If you feel like you've maxed out what you've built so far and you cannot go on with that specific setup or I wouldn't say brand, but image, then you have to make some serious choices and completely rebrand. My rebranding was a simple decision. I Aménagement Zamco, which in French is basically landscaping.
Yeah, Zamco landscapes.
It's kind of that, yeah, landscapes. And I didn't want to be limited to that because I said, okay, but wait, I don't want to.
I don't want to cut grass. I don't want to plant flowers. This, that.
Yeah, but it's not just that, because it was more that I want turnkey service. I want to offer turnkey service. So I needed to become Group Zamco Group, because I run a group of contractors. I work with a group of contractors. That was my whole premise was, you're hiring our group, and I'm the head of that, and then you'll get your fence, you'll get your carpentry, you'll get your pool, you'll get all of that stuff within our organization. And I couldn't do that limited with as simple as a name that put me in one specific category. So I had to broaden that. But then as far as the branding itself of that name, I from the beginning said, okay, I did things one way. It cornered me into just being a landscaper, whereas a hardscaper technically. But now I said I want to open the doors to not just hardscape, real estate, construction, whatever the case is. We don't know where the future goes. So I said that I wanted to go with a modern approach. I wanted to hit a niche market and hit a certain type of clientele, and that's why I cleaned up my logo. I hired a logo creation specialist, explained my vision, and told them it needs to be clean. I'm gonna go tacky, bulky, so let's keep it clean, let's keep it simple. Let's make it a logo that a successful business owner will click on and be intrigued, not just okay, well, this is just another landscaper or another. I wanted to really dissociate myself from the industry as a closed-minded view, let's say. Mm-hmm. And then we built our clientele through. We do a ton of work that doesn't get posted, right? Like this is the whole thing. We do a ton of work that doesn't get posted. Mm-hmm. Not to say the work is bad, not to say the work's not profitable. It's not our image. The clients want quality. They're willing to pay, but they don't want to go crazy in designs and all that. We might give it a short mention, and it's not to devalue that project at all. But if we start showing too much of that, then we open our doors too much, and our niche kind of becomes very, very broad. So we've cornered a niche market, and we work very hard to keep it there, but it's definitely a challenge, and you have to keep that going, because the second you let that slide, it's easy to lose it.
But you like the last part that you said there is probably the biggest key for that, is knowing who are the customers that are the perfect fit for you and who are the ones that are not. And making sure that everything you say, everything you do, everything you post, every ad you run is on that track. And you have to have the courage to be like, that's not the work that we do. That's not for us. And yeah, you might still do it because it's a referral, it's a good customer, there's good money in this, but if it's not aligned with the image of the company, then what you're doing is you're diluting your efforts and you're attracting the wrong people. And when you attract the wrong people, you end up spending too much time doing the wrong things. Even if it is a fit financially, if it's not going to be a fit personality-wise, if like for your example, like they want something that's plain Jane, nothing fancy at all, like you're not happy either, and you're not giving the customer your most value, and that hurts your reputation in the long run. Mm-hmm. So you really have to stick true to the identity that you want for your company, and if you need to rebrand, make sure that it speaks to that. And if you need to do little tweaks, which is often the case, make those little tweaks happen in that direction. But I think like the advice, the point that you just said about not posting so much stuff that you do.
Don't post everything.
It's not who you want to do business with every day. Exactly. So like we don't talk about that part. It's the same thing, like honestly, like even for us as a manufacturer, like you look in our catalog, like there are tons of jobs. So like, look at this, it's 20,000 square feet of blue. Yeah, like I sell blue all day, but is that really what we want to push out there? Is that like the image of the brand? Is that the high-end image, for lack of a better word, that we want to project? And then the answer is no. We want something that's different, that's unique, that has some character, that has something that really you feel something from looking at it. And that's why like the tagline is inspiring artscapes. Like it kind of, it works both ways. We feel that we're inspiring artscapes and we are contributing to inspiring artscapes. So like that's track that we took with the brand when we rebranded just 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's really like you gotta know who you are, what you want, which sounds super cliche, but that's what it is. And in business, more now than ever, it's about the personalities, it's about the human connection, it's about people identifying with who they're going to do business with.
Exactly that.
Any other questions? No? Yeah, you going? Don't be shy, guys. So that's what we're here for.
You mentioned the 7 o'clock start. What's a typical day, week, and season for you? So how close do you think you should be 2, 4, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
The toolbox.
Oh, I don't think I've seen my house at 6 o'clock ever. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just we usually run 11 and a half hour days. But granted, it's we have a short season. I mean, here it's just as bad.
Oh, here you have a few
Toronto's
more
about
weeks.
the same
Like
thing.
in Montreal,
Yeah, you got a
we
couple
have,
more
we have
weeks.
32 to 34
Max.
maximum weeks.
Yeah.
Here
So-
you have like 34 to 37, 38. That's really stretching it.
Yeah.
Unless you're like down in Niagara Falls where you get that extra 2 weeks, but like that's it. So like you got to cram as much in as possible.
Well, it's exactly that. I tell everyone up front, guys, the days are going to be long. They're going to be challenging, but it's a short season. We're going to give it everything give it a good 6 month run, the longest. But we're going to do those 11 and a half hour days or whatever it is. We set ourselves up in the morning. I tell the guys, it's not like we have a fixed break schedule or anything like that, because every day is different. So I don't want them to feel like, because when you have a fixed time, you're looking at your clock and you're discouraged. So I tell them, guys, when you feel like it, take 5. Don't take 2 15s, take 6 5s, as long as they stay 5s, obviously, because 5s turn into 15s real quick. But I have a lot of flexibility on my team. As long as the work gets done and I'm satisfied with the progress, I don't hold them to specific, guidelines, and it lets their day pass quicker, and it keeps them going, keeps them energized.
And there are the shorter milestones, like the toolbox meeting point that you're bringing up from the show. Like that was something that we talked about that occurred naturally on the site because we were filming. So like basically we have to build something. And then we got to be like, okay, guys, everyone go take 5 because we got to actually film this now. So everyone's got to get out of the shot. And then I have to talk to the camera and hopefully I don't mess it up too many times so we get back to work. But in that time, what they were doing was they were regrouping like, hey, we're this far now. And next we have to do this. And then once that was done, I had to do another video. So everyone regroups. Okay, we did this. Next we have to do this. What do we need? Okay, I got to go to the store to get that. This is going to show up. Get that to all the trailer. As soon as he's done, boom, we go. So there's the benefit to what you just said. But I think you can get away with having long days. You can get away with having long weeks, months, years, even if you look at it in the little bite-sized pieces. And are we always accomplishing something?
Yeah.
If you feel that you're always making progress, then the clock stops spinning on your watch,
And if you set goals for the day, that's a big thing too. We were setting goals every day for Showcase. And at the end of the day, we would say, hey guys, you know what? We said we were going to finish this. We actually did all that and this, which was set for 2 days from now. So they feel encouraged. Or, hey, look, it's 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Why don't we tough this out till 7, and we'll be with this 1 hour will put us 3 hours ahead tomorrow.
I mean, on Friday, we're done.
And they're like, oh yeah, you know what? And because we had specific goals, a specific schedule, and we were hitting these goals, they constantly feel rewarded. And what does it take? Oh, make it even turn it into something. Hey guys, here's some Gatorades. We're constantly buying drinks and all that, but like make it something. Here guys, here's Gatorades. Great job, keep it up.
We ordered a bunch of pizzas. We're like, okay guys, thank you. We know you guys stayed long. We ordered a bunch of pizzas. What it cost us? $100, $150. we fed everyone, and there was some camaraderie that was building too, because like there was our crew and there was your crew, but we were breaking bread together, we're relaxing, we're talking, and yeah, we're all going to be back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Yes, I know, that's in less than 12 hours. I know, but I'm going to be here and you're going to be here because we have a job to do and we want to get it done together. So I think really having the right personalities, having the right team, setting those goals, holding people accountable, and managing the conflict, like you said earlier too.
Yeah.
Like these are all things, like you can read any book you want and go to any management school that you want, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to how do you treat the people and how do you have the people interact with each other. And if you create a good environment for people, then you created a good company.
Yeah, well, that's literally it. At the end of the day, it's all about the environment, right? It really comes down to that. And I personally try to keep my guys encouraged certain ways. But one thing that's extremely important in any business, and I say this, people ask me for advice, and I tell them, I'm not right, I'm not wrong. This is my opinion. Advice is an opinion. So at the end of the day, I always tell everyone, your way might be right, might be wrong for you. Talk to a lot of people, gain experience and advice from a ton of people, and create your way. That's what it comes down to. There is no right and wrong. There is no perfect formula. It doesn't exist. If it did, we'd all be millionaires. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't exist. It's about taking all the information available to you and creating your system out of it. Something that works for you, and you're going to adapt it and adapt it and adapt it. But eventually, you will find something that works for you, and it's still not going to be perfect. And it definitely won't be perfect for someone else.
That's true.
That's why all that you could do and all that I do is I just could give advice, and I tell them that don't. It's not a book. It's not a set of rules. It's a set of opinions. It's opinions. It's some guidelines that have worked for me, and hopefully they work for you. At the end of the day, it's really just that. So it's hard to. There's a lot of books out there, but you got to read a lot of them to
still have to apply,
gain the knowledge.
Still have to do it, and still has to work with everyone. We'll take one last question if anyone has it. Yeah. I'll make our friend run here with the mic.
Could someone ask a question on that side of the room too, so we can like.
If you do
That is probably one of the biggest challenges. The reason we have a big hiring issue in our part of the country, I guess, whether it's Montreal, Toronto, whatever it is, we're all kind of in the same boat, is exactly that. It's the winter. I used to offer snow removal services. It would allow me to retain some of my employees, put them on some tractors, but some of them just didn't want to do that. Obviously, they all get placed on unemployment insurance at the end of the year, and the issue is every year you're hoping they come back, right? You hope that you've left them in good enough of a position where they're happy to come back. And I try to keep in touch with them throughout the winter to kind of remind them, like, hey, remember, like, we have a good relationship, we're cool together. Like, remember that? Remember how good this was? Like, just keep it going. Not like an unhealthy like obsession with your ex, like just keep things going and keep that door open. But I definitely lose crew members every year. I have to rehire every year. There's been years where I've started with an entirely new crew, and it's never really been a huge challenge because, like I said, I train them quickly. But that's always going to be an issue in our industry, and you kind of hope that they see the bigger picture and that they don't try to constantly negotiate you, because that's a big issue. It's not like being in a full-time job all year round where you get your annual raise or whatever the structures of that company. Your pay gets increased, gradually, a little bit here. You might get 25 cents, you might get 50 cents. We're renegotiating contracts every single year, and the experience they've gained, they're asking for 3 times the experience they've gained. Like we're basically getting hit with $1, $2, $3 increases every year, which is unheard of anywhere else. It's not like you're going to work somewhere and you get a $2 increase every year, or $3 increase every year. And if you are, that's great. Don't ever leave that place, or become a hardscaper and renegotiate your contract every year. But that's a big obstacle. It costs us a lot, and it costs a lot in the hiring process because it costs money to hire. Right? Depends on how you do it. Like now, I'm actually putting a hiring budget because I'm trying it, see how that goes. But
like signing
it costs
bonuses and stuff. Or
well,
like
definitely
advertise
signing
that?
bonuses. Basically, what we've added this year is I don't know how it works in Ontario, but in Montreal, there's no companies that aren't CCQ or whatever the case is that are offering medical, dental benefits in general.
Okay.
We've incorporated that this year because I've learned, and I try to create something where if you're just competing dollar for dollar, then it gets annoying, and it's very easy for someone to jump ship for a dollar more because they'll always get that, especially if they know that they've been trained well. You know, I try to create more than that. Look, you're going to get paid very competitively, but at the same time, I'm offering medical, dental, not just insurance plans, but investment plans.
Okay.
That's like tailored investment plans. All of our employees now will be sitting with our financial advisors if they want.
Okay.
Completely up to them.
You offer it to
It's like a pension plan. You want to create it as a pension plan, you want to create it as a short-term investment, whatever it is. I'm offering that to employees now in order to allow them again to create a career, create a life. I want you to live your best life working for Zamco, not just have a good job, not just break your back. Don't break your back for me, break your back for you at the end of the day. And it's exactly that. So I'm trying to offer incentives that aren't necessarily only coming out of my pocket. I want to give them opportunity, and I'm hoping that goes further than just, here's an hourly wage.
Well, I think part of that though is it forces you as an employee or a potential employee. If you see value in that, it's because you're thinking more long term. You're not
I create more
thinking about,
serious employees.
we'll see what happens tomorrow. Like you're not living day by day. Like you're looking for something more stable. So that helps on both sides because you're giving me benefits that can benefit me long term, especially if there's some kind of investment plan or support or whatever. And that gives me a home to build a career, which is exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So it's it kind of comes back to that branding question too. It's like you're putting out there things that will attract the people that you want to hire. And hopefully that works. But I mean, to come back to the winter thing, like the winter thing is a real challenge.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. It is for everyone, unless you can pay them year round. So what you have to be able to do is make sure that if you're not paying them year round, in that time frame that they are working, that they make enough money, they have enough of a good time, they feel supported, they feel part of something bigger, that for them it's very hard to walk away from it, even though they do technically walk away from it on paper. Here and here, they're still part of the team. They're still part of something, and I think that's the main lesson there.
Well, with this investment plan, the dental, that's annually, that's year round regardless. So they're still getting that in the winter. I'm still paying that in the winter.
Okay, 'cause
it's
it's a
part of
seasonal layoff,
you're working for me for the year, for the season, but you're an employee for the year. At the end of the day, you have annual coverage. So it still leaves them attached to the company in some way.
Yeah.
Especially if you have investments, then they're keeping in touch with the investment advisor. So they're like, for them, their job's not over. They're still with the company, and they're still in that circle.
I'm just off right now.
It's basically I've found a way to keep them associated to me while letting other people do the work.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, it's literally that. So yeah, winter's an obstacle, and we found some ways around it.
That's very interesting.
We're looking for team members and not employees at the end of the day.
Okay, perfect. If anybody wants to reach out to you after this, or if you want to ask questions once we're done here, obviously you can do that. But if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
At Zamco Group on Instagram. Reach out, send us a message if you have you want to discuss him, over the phone or over a Zoom call. I'm open to that too, guys. I'm really, I love to give as much advice as I can to as many people as I can. I've already done, I've made my own mistakes in my career. So if I could avoid someone else doing it, it's my pleasure to do it. So don't be afraid to ask questions. and that's it. Zamco Group, and from there, if you need to schedule a phone call, we'll gladly do that. I've done that in the past. We're also offering design services for landscapers as well. Okay. So wherever you are, if you know, like obviously here you're in the GTA, but if maybe you don't have the design softwares, or you don't want to bother with design softwares, I do design for. I know it's weird. Huh? I do design for contractors in the GTA as well. So that's another service that we provide.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's it for this episode, everyone. Thank you very much for sticking around, and thanks, Tony, for hanging out with us this afternoon. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, for real. Thank you.
Thank you.